Hello, welcome to UTS RC. Today we're going to look at replacing the shock oil in the Yokomo touring car. Let's get on it.
I'm a player.
Hello, so in the previous video we changed all the electrics out. We changed the servo, we changed the motor, we changed the ESC. There are two other key elements that I really need to have a look at in this touring car. One is the shock oil and two is the diff oil. Now, because this car is second hand, I don't know what oil is in them. I do not know what springs it is. They do look like, in fairness, the standard springs, but I don't know. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to replace the shock oil all round. We're also going to replace the front springs to some Core RC springs, some soft springs, to see how we get on. Because what I want to do is I want to reduce the body roll, because in a few videos past, when I was in my racing, when I was turning into the corners, the body was rolling and it was digging in. So I want to stiffen the front end up so I don't get the body roll. Because it's quite a high grip carpet, I want to go hard in the oil and soft in the spring. So what have we got? So I've got some Team Associated shock oil. This is 45 weight. Now this is good thick shock oil, I'm led to believe. So I'm going to put that in the shocks. Now I've also gone for some Core RC springs. Now the springs that we've gone for, the ratings of this is the brown ones, the 2.2 to 2.9. Now they are a progressive spring. So basically what that means is they are soft. The more they are compressed, the harder they get. So it will stiffen the front end up even more. I'm going to leave the rear springs for the time being, only because I don't want to change too much all in one go and not realise or not sort of understand what has changed, if anything does change when it's driving. So I just want to do the front end for now, and then if the rear needs to sort out, we'll address that, and I'll ask and I'll see what needs to be sorted out with that. But for the time being, let's get these shocks off, excuse me, and let's get that oil changed. But first, let's see how we do it. As with most things that I do, something will inevitably go wrong. Now on this occasion, I had got the springs off the front, I had taken the springs apart, I had got the new shock oil ready, I had got the shocks in the stand, I had started to prep the shocks, I had started to put the oil in. Was there any sound on any of the videos? No, not one bit of sound. So I said at the beginning that I wasn't going to do the rear shocks. However, now I am going to do the rear shocks to show you how to replace the oil in the shocks. Let's try this again. Not that you'll be able to see anything different. However, the fronts are now done. Now the only difference with these is you can see a little brown marker to indicate that they are brown springs with 2.2 and I think it was 2.9 spring rate. So they are done. So let's try again and we'll do the backs. So once again, I need to take off the shock dampers. Once I've done that, I will come back to you and I will show you how to take these apart to get the fresh oil here into the dampers. So that's both shock absorbers now off the rear. This would be exactly the same on the front if the volume had worked. However, it is exactly the same on the rear. And to separate the springs, all we need to do, take your tension off your spring first, pull the spring back. Now this cup at the bottom lifts up slightly and then comes away from the shaft. The spring just pops off. Now we're going to use this spring again. Like I said, I don't want to do too much alteration, suspensions and everything. Now they do feel a little bit more resistance than the softer springs, so I'm going to go with these are the mediums. They're also probably the standard springs, so we're going to put these back on The only thing I'm going to do is stiffen up the fluid in the actual suspension. Look at the dirt on them already. Anyway, so let's go on with that. So you're going to want something to catch the old oil in. And all I tend to use is the top of a takeaway tub and a little bit of kitchen paper. All we need to do, take the lid, top of the shock, also end up the little cap in there. That sometimes is actually in the top of there. If it is, just take it off. See, in this one, there is next to no oil in there to start with. Oh, I say next to no, there is very, very little oil in there. So we need to get that out. So what we do, you just tip it out, and that is all the oil that was in there. Now I know these are slightly smaller dampers than the front, but there is not a great deal of oil in there. So all you want to do then is just pump it a few times just to get any of the residue oil in the bottom out. There's quite a bit more come out there. Just leave it about halfway, just rest it on the paper just to let the rest of that flow out. So we'll do the same with this one. Take off the lid. Again, diaphragm's in the top. Leave that one together. Pull that one out. Quite a bit more in that one. Again, just pump it slightly. Leave it about halfway and just let them soak about 5 minutes just to let all the oil run out, and then we'll do the next step. So with all that oil out now, all I need to do is get another bit of tissue paper and just put it inside the damper itself. Just give it a bit of a spin just to try and soak up a little bit more of that residue oil that's in there. Pretty good, that's pretty clean in there now, as you can see. That's one. Do the same with the other one. I've also just given these a bit of a wipe over because there was quite a lot of carpet dust on them from the last couple of times that it's been run. Surprising the amount of dirt that sort of gets into places that you think you've cleaned but clearly missed. There we go, and there is that one done. And let's move on now to filling them up with the new oil. So this is the oil we're going to use. It's the Team Associated 45 weight oil. So all we need to do is you need to pull the shafts down as far as you can. And it's a case of simply popping some more oil in the damper. Now don't do a full amount to start with, just do it about halfway, and then get hold of the damper ever so slightly, just move it up and down a couple of times and you'll see all those bubbles move about in there. Now you can get on the market, I think they are called shock pumps or vacuum pumps, or I can't remember the proper name for them, but basically what you would do is you would put these into a container, you'd seal the container, and then on the top of it is basically like a bicycle pump. You would pump it until all the bubbles have gone. Now I've seen a couple of people using them, and to be honest with you, don't get great results from the word go. Now, yes, you can spend the money on doing it, but it's cheaper just to do it this way, I find. If you just take your time with it and just make sure all the bubbles are out, just you'll know when you've got to a point when the bubbles have gone, because the actual damper itself will start to get stiff, and that's obviously the viscosity of the oil. So just keep going along with that, and just keep making sure that all the bubbles are out, and we can move on and just top it up a little bit more, say quite close to the top, and just keep pumping the damper until all those little bubbles have gone. Right, so we've left them about 20 minutes or so. All the air has gone out of it, as you can see. There is no air bubbles in there at all. So all I need to do now is push that shock shaft right to the top. You'll get just a little bit of a dome over the top of the shock. Okay, so the idea, what we want, is zero rebound from this. So when we push it up, it stays, and when we pull it down, it stays. It doesn't move of its own accord. So what we need to do, we need to get one of the caps. You will get a little bit over the top. Okay, just simply screw the top back on. Quick wipe the excess. Right, a little bit more. So now you can see we have no rebound. So that's one shock absorber done. So obviously all you need to do now is put the spring back on. Give it another quick wipe. A bit more. So to put the spring back on, exactly the same as before, but in reverse. So you get your spring seated, and a quick wipe because it's a bit dirty. All we do, pull that onto the shaft, come on, so it's seated, and there we go. One newly adjusted shock absorber with fresh oil. So I'll get on with the next one, and then we'll get them back on the car. So obviously when you put these back on the car, don't forget you will need to do the ride height check, because everything will be adjusted. So let me get the second one done, get it on the car, and we'll get the ride height checked. So there we are, everything is now back together. The fronts are back on, the rears are back on. I really do like this car. I really do like it. I'll be honest with you, I swore a bit when the previous volume didn't work on the videos. It really annoyed me. However, everything is now back together. 2 top tips for you now. Get yourself a notepad. That way you can write down your suspension ride height, your camber, your droop, all your settings for your car when you go out to race. So if you do need to adjust anything, you know what it was, you know what to adjust to. Do you see where I'm going? Jolly good. Another top tip, don't know if you can see, on the fronts there, on the shock tower, I put some marks. Same on the back. So I know that those are the correct settings for the front and rear ride height. So the front suspension is set at 5 and the rear is set at 5.2. So I think that will do for this one. Hopefully the next time we see it, it will be hurtling round the track. I say round the track, not pinballing round the track, but round the track. We can but hope. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully see you on the next one. Take it easy.
I'm a player.